Game Awards of 2024 has come and gone, and the big question is, was it actually good? I'm not gonna lie, for me personally, I think the Muppets absolutely stole the show, and they need to be in every single one going forward the following years. Jeff, if you do not bring them back, especially next year or the year after that, you have failed.
How long is this bozo gonna go on?
Well, that's what I've been asking for the last 10 years.
With that being said, though, as always, when it comes to the Game Awards, we have to say, obviously, congratulations to everyone who won in their particular area, whether it was the illustrious Game of the Year, sound design, best direction, indie game, you name it. A huge congrats to everyone out there that was able to pick up the awards. While I personally don't agree with all of the winners and everything, everyone's going to have their own personal opinions and all that kind of stuff. But with that being said, though, with the Game Awards also came a slew of big announcements coming for 2025 and even going into 2026. So we here on Direct Game, we wanted to go over some of our personal favorites when it came to what were we most excited about, what kind of caught our attention, because even though we had those rumors coming up right before the show started and everything, there was definitely a lot of stuff here that I was like, oh wow, that got announced? That's pretty cool. So we're going to go over that here. So if you happen to have watched the Game Awards and everything, let us know in your comments down below, what are your personal favorite moments of the entire show, whether it was the awards themselves or the games that were announced. But starting off with me personally here, I have to say that for me, I had a tie between The Witcher 4 and Onimusha Way of the Sword. And the more I looked at it, we already know that The Witcher 4 is going to be an absolutely amazing game. So I didn't want to talk about that. It's kind of like the most basic answer, essentially. Onimusha Way of the Sword just looks really, really cool. And if you have not played this game, or not this particular game, but if you have not played Onimusha from way back in the day, then I don't even know if you can play it these days. I mean, unless you have an old console from back then that you're actually able to play. I don't even know if it's available on PC. I'm sure our editors right now are putting something up on screen that you'll be able to see at this particular moment. But regardless, it has been a long time since we've seen something from this particular area. And the fact that they are now making it, and the fact that Capcom, who's been on a winning streak for the last 5-6 years or something like that, it definitely looks really good. Now obviously it was a cinematic trailer, we didn't get to actually really see any gameplay, but there were snippets of what the combat could look like and everything. It kind of reminded me of what we saw with Phantom Blade Zero, where it was obviously very cinematic, and then it turns out when I actually went to go play it at TGS 2024, that's exactly what it looked like actually. So granted, that's an Unreal Engine 4 game or Unreal Engine 5 game, but this could definitely look very promising. I don't know how the engine's going to hold up though. I don't know if they're using the exact same engine that they've used for like Resident Evil and everything. There could be some more information in interviews that obviously come out over the years, because this game is not coming out until 2026. But regardless, the moment I saw it and I saw this very small snippets of what could potentially be gameplay, I was definitely very excited for it. So let me know your thoughts down below if you think that this game could look pretty cool, or if you even know what this series is, because I guarantee you there are a lot of especially younger gamers with absolutely no idea. But joining me as always, though, as you can see on screen here, we have Lemon, who's been with us for a long time, and actually we have one of our original members, Hydros, joining us today. But I want to ask them personally, what were their thoughts on not just simply the Game Awards, but what was the big exciting thing that got revealed for them when it comes to watching the entire thing? Because if you didn't know, we live streamed the entire thing. Shout out to Hydros for doing that. But Lemon, I want to start with you first. Out of all the announcements and everything, what was the one that you're just like, okay, that looks pretty cool, I want to keep my eye on it? Just give me your raw first impressions and everything.
So I'm not gonna say the boring ones, because everyone's gonna say Witcher 4 and everyone's gonna say Elden Ring. So instead I'm gonna choose Metroidvania Pac-Man. I was like, what the hell's going on here? It's like a chain chomp Pac-Man thing, with each chomping stuff up, and a Metroidvania thing. I don't know, it looked like interesting kind of thing for Pac-Man. So I think I'm gonna go with that one just as a game to kind of keep in mind, because I mean obviously everyone's gonna be talking about Elden Ring, everyone's gonna be talking about Witcher 4. I don't know why I was blanking on that save. I literally just said that. Where Shadow Labyrinth I think is kind of gonna get kind of buried a bit. So I'm gonna go with that one just because I like Metroidvania games.
Yeah, no, it definitely looked really cool. I'm not gonna lie, especially because again, you have literally evil Pac-Man chasing after you, which is pretty cool. And again, I'm kind of a sucker for some Metroidvanias. I mean, if you guys don't know, like one of my favorite games of 2024 was easily The Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and unfortunately, it did not win Best Action Adventure Game. And it was nominated for that. I was really hoping it would have, because in terms of combining the adventure of going into the entire map and everything. So, but again, I'm a sucker for Metroidvanias, and especially over the last, I'd say 10 years, most of them are very good. right? There are obviously some that are better than others, but overall, you can still jump in and have a good time. So I hope that they're able to take some of the stuff, though, that the genre itself has really perfected over the years, and they're able to apply it here. Because the one thing that always gets me nervous when it comes to any kind of game, jumping into a particular genre, is when they don't take lessons learned from previous generations and previous games, and they don't apply it. And you're just like, why did you include this? This hasn't been a thing for like 10 years or anything like that. So I'm definitely excited about it. Hydros, what were your personal thoughts when it came to Shadow Labyrinth when you saw it originally?
I mean, I grew up playing Pac-Man quite often, so I mean, like seeing that kind of thing was just like nostalgic for me. But I'm not personally too excited for it, but it still looks really cool. The idea of it's really cool, so I'm interested to see how it plays out. Okay,
yeah, and so I think it's coming out in 2025 based on what little we know about it and everything. It could get delayed, we're not really sure, but definitely something to keep an eye out. But in terms of your favorite pick, though, Hydros, what was your favorite thing that you saw announced at the Game Awards?
Well, I was gonna say The Witcher 4, but I don't want to. I want to give some other games some other ones I was excited for as well. I think the one that I'm most excited for is the Naughty Dog project, the Intergalactic, the Heretic project. That one looks really cool. Love space. Always love space games. It was really cool to find out that this game has actually been apparently in development since the 2020s or the early 2020s, which is actually really cool. Because that's a long time to be working on this.
It is, because as we know, like, because most games these days take 5-6 years, give or take, to really make. And looking from the outside in, everyone just simply has been assuming for the last basically this entire generation that Naughty Dog has been doing nothing but their failed online service that they canceled themselves, and just remakes and remasters of The Last of Us. Essentially, that's all they're really known for right now. If you go and you ask some average person, just be like, hey, Naughty Dog, what games are they making? They're like, I mean, like the third time they've remastered The Last of Us Part 1 or Last of Us Part 2. Like, that's what they're known for, right? But the fact that this has been in some form of development for the last 4 years is definitely really good. Now, is it in full production? I'm gonna guess yes now, but obviously not for those whole 4 years it's been. So if I had to take a guess, I think this game will probably come out in 2027 is probably what I'm going to say. Maybe 26. It really all just depends. If we actually start to see like gameplay trailers, like the September Sony State of Play, we actually get to see some gameplay of this and everything, then maybe it could be a 2026 release, but I just don't know. And unfortunately, I would say this game has had quite some loud mouths over online.
Yeah, despite all that. Despite all that, yeah.
So
I will say that if anyone forgot, they did say that trailer, even though it was a cinematic trailer, was still rendered in engine. So that whole thing that we saw was an in-engine render.
Exactly. So
cinematic. So that was insane to see. It was Ad City for Porsche and Adidas and all that mess. But Sony of all things, right?
Yeah. Well, okay.
Obviously.
Seeing Sony products in a Sony game, like,
it's not too out there.
That's
Porsche?
not out there. Yeah, Porsche was the weird. I'm guessing that's probably a callback to that kind of that 80s time where movies and things did that. So that's what I've at least heard. But I will say, like, in terms of, I won't lie. I saw the joke flying around where people are like, wait, Concord 2? Especially with that opening, very early introduction. I was just like, yeah, I can kind of see why people would think that and everything. But the moment they saw the enemy and you saw the main character, we're assuming is the main character or one of the main characters, where she pulls out that badass sword and everything. And then we saw that, she ran and jumped off the rock and then sliced, which is obviously going to be, probably, it's most likely going to be a third person action game, which would make sense based on every other game that Naughty Dog has made over the years. Uncharted, Last of Us, Jak and Daxter, you name it. They've all been over the shoulder, third person, so that's nothing too crazy there. But I will say, obviously, the game looks amazing in terms of graphically and everything.
I want to mention that there was some post notes about the game.
Right, exactly.
After the trailer, because then they actually provided more detail about what actually was happening, and that the main character, I believe Jordan is the name, does in fact get, like, they become stranded on Imperia, is that the name?
Yeah, the planet they go down to, yeah.
And then, like, her story revolves around, like, trying to escape the cursed planet in more than 600 years. It's like, okay, 600 years. Are we immortal? Like, what happened?
Right. Well, and I think and then the character she's talking to on the screen, who's, I'm gonna guess, her handle, essentially, in terms of getting bounties and everything like that, you know, they even make a comment. They're just like, yeah, it's been like 600 years and no one's like made it off the planet. So, you know.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, we all have like AI things, so I mean that probably is an AI. It's probably not even a real person.
Oh no,
to be honest.
Probably it wouldn't surprise me. So, one thing I am interested to see that they do, because love or hate the Last of Us games, where I'm kind of just, you know, they're fine games for me personally. One thing that the Last of Us series has done extremely well is the actual like enemy AI and what they can do in game and everything like that. So I'm really interested to see what they do with this particular game, especially the fact that you're going to have this, you know, badass sword. We're assuming there's probably going to be obviously some other weapons and everything, but the way some of the enemies are, I'm just like, there's some potential here. This game could be very challenging, depending on what they do with some of that AI and everything. So I'm definitely excited to see that. Lemon, what were your personal thoughts on the game when you saw the initial trailer?
I expect it to be good, but it's just a trailer. Until I see reviews for things.
Yeah. Or at very minimum gameplay. At very minimum gameplay.
I think that was a bigger, not to go super off tangent, but I really am tired of cinematic trailers. I want to see gameplay.
I mean, I'll also give the fact that people complaining about like the main character and all that stuff. It's like, well, it's just a cinematic. Let's wait to see gameplay. Exactly. Let's wait to see how the game is before. Like, it's just the main characters. Like, is that really going to throw you off that much?
Exactly. Especially
I'm not a fan of the main character design either personally, but I'm not gonna like let that be like a reason for me not to play the game, because it is Naughty Dog. I would say Naughty Dog, at least in Tallen's talk earlier about like enemy AI. They're up there with Rockstar and the creating their AI enemies and their AI like NPCs and stuff. So it's like, I would give Naughty Dog the benefit of the doubt for a good story, especially after The Last of Us was a good story. I'm very glad they didn't focus on live service PvP because of that. Naughty Dog did a service to all of us that day.
Yeah. No, they're in their spot. They're gonna put a good game out. Now, whether or not it's gonna be better than previous games, I don't know, but we can guarantee it'll be
a very
really
competent
solid
game at the very minimum. So, and I will say to the people who originally did see it and they're like, wait, why does this look very Concordy and everything like that? First off, Naughty Dog, you know, if you look at what their games were, I mean, going from Jak and Daxter to Uncharted to The Last of Us, they're all very different in everything in a lot of ways. So this is another time where, you know, this is a brand new IP and everything. They're getting out of their, you know, trying something new, getting out of their comfort zone and everything like that. So if the space setting is not something for you, that's totally fine, right? But I would simply say, just like both Lemon and Hydros have said, to at least wait to see some gameplay. The reason that people just did not mix with something like Concord in the space area is because when we saw the initial teaser trailer, it was like the inside of this ship, essentially. We didn't see anything. And then the moment the two trailers dropped, we were showing off the cinematic trailer and then the gameplay trailer. That's where everyone was just like, oh, really? This? Like, it's basically Guardians of the Galaxy in a multiplayer setting of like a genre that's dead from like, you know, 10 years ago, essentially. So
I would say comparing it to Concord is a little unfair, considering the Concord development team was not as well popular or as well known as Naughty Dog is.
Right.
And then Naughty Dog has that reputation of The Last of Us behind it and all that stuff.
And again, this is more to just address the people who thought it looked like that and everything. So we're just like,
it's literally just because the main character.
Yeah, just calm down. It is in space. It is in space, right? And I have seen some people talk about how the character is kind of, or she looks to kind of be like your, almost like a female Nathan Drake, essentially, the way I looked at it. But yet, I'm just like, but Nathan Drake started off cocky and everything, and then he got a lot of good character development over the time. So this character could be very similar to that, right? I don't expect them to go deep, super dark like they did with The Last of Us, because that was what that was known for. This is definitely going to be probably more upbeat, I would say. You know, obviously we have no idea what the story is. There's obviously going to be some dark tones to it. There's going to be a lot of, you know, drama and everything. But I don't expect this to be Last of Us in space, is all I would say. So,
well, I don't think it'll be Last of Us in space. I think they kind of ditched, like, not ditched, but like don't they don't want to create the same thing again and again and again, obviously.
Right.
So
exactly,
and this will be the first game since The Last of Us Part 2 that they've released. So
right, and it's a brand new, not genre, but like just new series essentially. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. But regardless, hopefully we get some gameplay sometime in 2025, especially for the other games and everything. But I did notice that out of 2 of the 3 picks that we picked here, we're not expecting these until 2026. So hopefully we get some more stuff that gets shown in 2025
I think
as well.
The next one on my list probably would have been, it's probably later, probably 2027, maybe 2028, just because it's the game that was by the people that created Shadow of the Colossus and Last Guardian.
Oh,
That game that hasn't even gotten a title yet.
That
game I'm also super excited for that game. It definitely it's neck and neck with the Intergalactic game, but I would say that game is going to be up there. Yeah, Project Robot, because they had like when they were climbing up the robot, it was like very Colossus-esque. So it's like that was exciting to see.
Look how long Last Guardian took to come out. So
yeah,
we
that
wait
game,
a long time.
that's either going to be like a 2028 release or it's going to be a PS6 / whatever the Xbox is called.
Well, so this game is going to be, it's Gen Design's second one. That's Last Guardian was their first one, so this is literally their second game. Yeah, it's also Epic Game Store exclusive, according to Epic, for a long time.
Ew, gross.
So PS and Xbox will probably out of the question for a while.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate.
Which I'm not complaining, as long as PCs become more accessible and cheaper.
Right. Well, that's the thing. The parts need to become cheaper, and we already saw what happened with Alan Wake 2 being exclusive to the Epic Game Store.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, it unfortunately kind of hindered it. Like, they still haven't broken even though everyone who plays that game, a majority of them are like, yeah, this is a great game, but people don't want to buy it on the Epic Game Store, which I don't blame them. I don't.
So I'm not really upset about it being Epic Store exclusive if it's like a year, right? And then it comes out on consoles and stuff like that. Like, give them a year, fine, because they are publishing it, they are helping with funding the game and
right.
stuff.
But when they say multiple years or whatever, this is like
for a long time, it's like, so console never. You're just gonna waste money. You're not even waste money. You're gonna forget money, basically.
Maybe down the road they eventually do say, okay, you know what, console at the same time as the Epic Game Store launch, because consoles, that's a big player base to leave out right there. So
yeah, I get not Steam, but console, it's like the way they word it, Epic Store exclusive for a long time, since the Epic Store isn't technically on console. Right. You gotta think what you will, but I'm hoping that it's not the case.
It's looking to be, we're finally, 2025 is looking to be a pretty big year for gaming, and 2026 definitely bring up the rear. I'm definitely excited to see, but we all know 2025, unfortunately, I think when it comes to the Game Awards, we're just going to see nothing but GTA 6 and Monster Hunter in like 3/4 of the categories. So honestly, I see 2025 for the Game Awards being very similar to how we saw God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring, where God of War Ragnarok, I swear, won like 6 or 7 awards, and then Elden Ring came in, swept in art and the Game of the Year. So
as it should.
No, I'm just saying that's what's going to happen with Monster Hunter and GTA 6. That's what's gonna happen, right? So I can see it happening right then and there. But regardless, though, let us know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Do you think next year's gonna be a good year for gaming, or what are you most excited for? Let us know your thoughts.